most important procedure for updating the firmware of the desktop to 0735 is step 1, which is to disassociate your inverter with the desktop. So to do this, we go to Menu, we select Settings, and we go to Configuration Wizard. It'll then ask you for some on-screen prompts. So we click Next, time and date, Next. Communication is radio, select Next. Number of your inverters, select Next. The polling period, Next. Scan for inverters, we want to scan now, and we're looking for the serial number and the part number of your inverter. The important step now is you press the minus key and make the box go white, and we click Next and we apply changes. The desktop will then come back to the home screen and your inverter should be missing. You can then proceed to the next step, which is to turn off the desktop and to remove the SD card. Gently push the SD card into the desktop. You'll hear a click, release, and the card should gently pull away. Insert the SD card into your computer and open its root file by going into My Computer, accessing the SD card, and inside you'll see the following folders. You need to delete System, you need to delete any SN serial number file, and you should be left with Theme, Sound, Language and Boot. If you don't have a boot folder, you click with the right mouse and a drop down menu will appear. You then select New, select Folder, and name this in capital letters Boot. But as you can see, we already have that here, so that's not required. Open the boot file and remove any of its contents. Now with the boot folder that you've downloaded from our Power One website, you need to drop and drag from its location into the boot folder. So your boot folder should now have this file inside. If the boot file that you've downloaded is called 0735.ben, you need to change this to read lowercase boot.ben. So to do this, you click with the right on the folder, click rename, and rename to boot.ben. When finished, click off. The card is now ready to be inserted into the desktop. So close the folder and remove the card. Gently reinsert the SD card with the gold pins facing upwards and entering the desktop first. The card should gently push in, and if you push a little bit more it will click and stay flush and flat. Now you've switched the desktop back on, we need to follow the on-screen prompts. So we click Next, the time and date, Next. We select Radio, click Next. Number of inverters, 1. The polling period at 15, Next. Scan now, we don't want to scan, so we click No Scan Later and click Next. You'll now come through to the main menu. We select Settings and we select Firmware Update. It'll ask you, do you want to start? You select yes. The firmware will now copy from the SD card to the desktop. Once the firmware has been loaded off of the SD card, it will then ask you for what version you want to load. So select 07.35 and click Next. It will ask you to confirm, click Yes. After the install is complete, the desktop should power down and then automatically reboot back up. Once the desktop reboots, you need to select Next. Set your time and date if it has changed. We select Radio. Next. Number of your inverters. Next. 15-minute polling. Next. Scan now this time. We click Next. Once you've found your serial number and the part number, press the plus key. The box will go grey. Select Next. Apply the changes. Yes. The unit will then return back to the home screen. Importantly, you should see this little disc circling, which means it's communicating to the inverter. The next step is a box will appear that says syncing. You must let it go through its syncing procedure before you can then use the desktop. Once the unit has finished syncing, the screen will refresh. Your signal meter should read full if you're next to the inverter, and you should be able to press Update and get an instant update of your readings of your inverter. The procedure is now finished.